Hey guys, so I'm back with another video for reaction videos, and I'll show you a couple of videos, and in the end all of my videos have a point to prove, so you must stick around till the end to watch what I'm trying to say.
Who discovered
Gravity.
Yalla Bina?
Yalla bina. We were all taught that it was Isaac Newton.
The famous Apple story, right?
I'm sorry to break your heart. It wasn't.
Yeah, it was discovered 700 years before that.
By who?
Abu Rihan al-Bayruni, a genius from the 10th century.
He was born in 973 in what's now Uzbekistan.
Bro could speak Persian, Arabic, Greek, Sanskrit, and many more. This man stated in one of his many books
Which you can still find today.
that heavy objects are drawn downwards. He believed there was a relationship between their mass and this force drawing them down to the center of the earth.
He also figured out that the earth rotates on its axis.
And he made tools to measure the specific gravity acting on different objects. He even drafted longitude and latitude lines.
And even proved that light travels faster than sound.
All of this in the 10th century. Other than al-Bayruni, there were at least 4 other Arab and Muslim scholars who explored gravity before Newton.
But we're never taught about them, are we?
Nope, that's why we have to research things for ourselves.
And yeah, that's it. Yalla bye.
So a lot of yes, inventions have been invented by various people, but the credit has been taken away, and it's not been really mentioned by people, you know, and there are people who rewrite history, and like for example, Jesus was not white, right? But he has been repainted as the history has been repainted. So let's get into another video and watch this.
No ruler had the right to hoard wealth while the people suffered. The Islamic system prevented wealth from being monopolized by a corrupt elite. But Western colonization, Western colonialism, Belgium literally owned the Congo as the personal property of King Leopold. Over 6 million Congolese were massacred, were mutilated, and enslaved just to extract rubber and minerals for Belgium, for King Leopold. That's the wealth that built Belgium. Exactly right there in Brussels, where the seat of the EU is today. Go to Brussels. Walk the street. Look at the beautiful architecture. You know, marvel at how beautiful it is. Well, all of that was paid for with Congolese blood. And yet today, when Africans try to immigrate or try to migrate to Europe, they're treated like criminals. I've said it before, they're not coming to take your wealth. They're coming to try to reclaim just a little bit of their own wealth, to come to the cities that they built. Islamic civilization was built on the pursuit of knowledge. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said seeking knowledge is an obligation upon every Muslim, and we take that seriously. That's why under Islam, cities became centers of learning. Baghdad had the House of Wisdom, which was a global hub for science and medicine and philosophy. Again, in Mali, Timbuktu, the whole city was a university. It attracted scholars from all across Africa and beyond Africa. And of course, Andalusia in Spain, where the Muslims preserved and expanded upon Greek, Roman, and Persian knowledge. The Greeks and the Romans that you talk about today, you wouldn't even know about them if it wasn't for us. But what did the West do when they colonized the world? They burned books. They forbade education, prohibited education for the native populations. They rewrote history, erasing the achievements of the civilizations that they destroyed. You want to wipe them completely out of history. Algeria under French rule is a perfect example. Before the French invasion in 1830, Algeria had one of the highest literacy rates in the whole region. But after 132 years of French occupation, literacy in Algeria had dropped to the single digits because the French were shutting down schools the whole time. You know, Islam prohibits riba, usury, interest, because it enslaves people. But Western capitalism thrives on it. That's why even after formal colonialism ended, the West kept countries in debt through the IMF and through the World Bank and so on, ensuring that their economies would remain under Western control through debt slavery.
Okay, so I've been watching this guy for a while, and this guy is spitting a lot of truth. Whoever lives in Brussels, please let me know if what he's saying is accurate, because I haven't been to Brussels. But whatever he's talking about, I know this because it's on the internet for you to read and research. And yeah, let's watch another video.
The House of Wisdom in Baghdad was a center of intellectual activity in the Muslim world, and women were welcome. They came from all over to read and to write and to discuss ideas. Lots of languages were spoken: Arabic, Farsi, Aramaic. Women worked alongside men to advance their communities, contributing to education, medicine, and culture. Women were allowed to pray with men. They participated in commerce. Some of them held political power, sometimes with their husbands, sometimes on their own. Wikipedia does not mention them at all. Every illustration is a man with a beard. So then I thought, I'll try again. I'll move on to the general article about Islamic Golden Age, and I was told improvements to the astrolabe were one of the achievements of this era. Well, I love an astrolabe. I brought my own replica that I have. I love it. Have a look at it. It's an amazing thing. Still in use today. Absolute beauty. So, considered to be the world's oldest astronomical computer because it was used to calculate time and location and direction. It was a programmable device used by astronomers in Europe and the Islamic world from the early Middle Ages. Muslim world, you can imagine, absolutely vital for determining prayer times, the initial days of Ramadan and Eid. Extremely significant device. What neither the initial article about the Islamic Golden Age nor the one I clicked through for more detail about the astrolabe mentions Maryam al-Astrolabi. You don't think her name, by any chance, is a clue. Her surname indicates her profession. I don't have exact dates for her. We don't have exact dates for her. But in the 10th century, she was a famous maker of astrolabes, a Muslim woman in Aleppo who took the craft of building these exquisite instruments to the next level. The design of the astrolabe required Maryam to work with complex mathematical calculations and precision. She became famous for her intricate and innovative ideas, eventually leading to her employment in the court of the first emir of Aleppo. Over 1,000 years later, those who know still speak of her academic brilliance, her exceptionally focused mind. Her significant contributions to astronomy were officially recognized in 1990 when the main belt asteroid 706 Al-Ilji was named for her. Sorry, it's missing. To be honest, it was just a picture of stars. I couldn't find the actual thing. I don't know if you've tried to find a specific star on the internet. She's amazing. Check out her specific article in Wikipedia, and the focus is on the fact that Maryam may not have been her real name, and she has inspired a character in the Netflix series Vikings Valhalla. That's it. Well, so, okay, all right, that means some information has been poorly inputted. I need to search again.
Okay, so I don't want the videos to become biased or like if I'm trying to paint a picture, so I'm just trying to be very accurate. So I'm just gonna make you watch another video. And there's a guy, I read his book very long time ago, and I couldn't believe that like this actually happens. They actually do this, and yeah, he talks about it. And apparently you can talk about it because it's something that does not need to be hidden. The US really puts their power in your face. They're like, yeah, this is what we're going to do, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's their style, right? So yeah, because I was like, how can he do this and talk about it? That was the first thing I questioned. But later on in life, I understood that they want you to know about it because they want you to know what they're going to do if you don't comply. If the Eastern nations or the Middle Eastern nations don't comply, they'll do this. And this guy just talks about it.
We work many different ways, but perhaps the most common is that we will identify a third world country that has resources our corporations covet, like oil, and then arrange a huge loan to that country from the World Bank or one of its sisters. However, the money never goes to the country. Instead, it goes to our own corporations to build infrastructure projects in that country, power plants, highways, industrial parks, things that benefit a few rich people in that country, as well as our own corporations, but do not help the majority of the people at all. And yet the whole country, is left holding a huge debt. And it's such a huge debt they can't possibly repay it. So at some point, the economic hitmen go back and say, you owe us a lot of money, you can't repay your debts, so give us a pound of flesh. When I failed to bring them around, to get them to accept these loans, to get them to put their countries into servitude, Then I knew that standing right behind me were what we call the jackals. And these are people who overthrow governments or assassinate their leaders. And both Jaime Roldos of Ecuador and Omar Torrijos of Panama were assassinated by CIA-sponsored jackals because I failed to corrupt them.
Okay, so a lot of Westerners might be living in the bias because obviously we are from the East, so we already know what happens here. But there are a lot of people who are born after the war and they do not know what used to be. Like, what are the things we heard? Even I was born way after things were destroyed in the Middle East region, and but this is one of the videos that tells you that what actually went on. Okay, what was highly upsetting for me was that I was brought up in the United States, and I lived there for a while, and all that terrorism stuff was still relatively new, but it started picking up basically. And years later, I meet Westerners again, and they look at you with this different look, and you're like, really? And because they're not, I don't want to call them not well read, but I think everybody's typically that. So I didn't blame them, but they listen to the news a lot and they trust their media, which you should not trust anyways. So they looked at you with this look, which I was like, I don't get it, because I'm under the impression, because I'm living here, right? And I'm under the impression that West is doing this to us, right? There are a lot of bombings that happen. Why would we bomb our own country, right? And we suffer from all the terrorism. Like, no terrorism really happens in the West. So very, very barely, right? But like, you don't know how much terrorism and how much bombings happen in our own country, and our country is destroyed, like drones from America and even the terrorists. And that didn't make sense, that we have to suffer that and then a bad image painted by the Western media. So that's the thing that really got to me, that was very pissing off. And sadly, even till this day, white people look at you weirdly. So my thing is now that I give them a weird look in return. That's all I can do, I guess. But yeah, man, that was not cool, and it's still not cool. And I think a lot of the visa restrictions and so many things, man, you can't travel freely. All the Eastern people in the country, in the world, know and understand this feeling. And I feel like Westerners are very aloof to it. It doesn't even matter to them. And I was like, everybody's like that. I get it. Why would they give a crap? It's not their problem. But the problem is they created this problem for us. So it's a bit pissing off,
This was not a conspiracy, it was just a known thing, meaning the government of Zaire had to place IMF officials in its government, in the treasury, in control of the economy. And we would shape the economy, usually to do two things in the tropics. We would focus on extractive industries, so let's get this stuff out of the ground as fast as possible without any benefits accruing to the local population. In fact, we'd often ruin the environment around them and make their life miserable. And number two, agriculture stuff. So we would force them to do this kind of industrial scale agriculture, usually of things that they couldn't eat, that they would export to us for our consumption. So we would engineer their society to do this and to be more dependent. And in order to do so, we would devalue the currency. And you basically want to shrink the economy. You don't want the government to be providing any subsidies to its people, healthcare, education. No. That's only for rich countries. But beyond that, there's nothing for the people left over. Of course, the dictator takes his cut. That's what the IMF does to countries.
The weird part is, he's very heartlessly, these people are saying stuff like that. And on the other hand, when there's something happening that has happened to a white woman, it's like, oh my God, the emotions that are there, that are present when they're on TV are just not present, when they're saying these things. So I don't know what to do. And I feel like people are lacking. There's this lack of empathy on color. That's weird. That is very weird. So I think we should learn this lesson that let's stop this bias on colors, right? And you'll only give a crap if it's white, right? Because then, you know, tomorrow we're going to start doing that too. And I don't think our people do that, but it'll be sad to see if that happens. But yeah.
So America says that Al Qaeda did 9/11.
So I'll tell you the story, okay?
Okay.
So when the 9/11 happened, Mullah Omar asked Osama bin Laden, he said, "Did you do this?" He said, "No, I did not do this." Mullah Omar gave America three choices. He said, one, we will judge him.
Okay.
In our court of law system, we will judge them. He said, if you don't want this, okay, we'll do something else. We'll gather all the Muslim countries, and they give the ruling. We will not give the ruling. If you don't want this, the last option you have is forgive him. If you guys believe this, he said, no.
Right.
They invaded without any proof of that. Osama bin Laden.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, you know, America had their own, it's called agenda. What is the
there we
agenda?
go.
I don't know.
Okay, so I have a story to tell. I had a friend who was, there's this guy called Mullah Omar, right? And he lives in Afghanistan. And what happened is that he was from a broken family, and he met these people at the mosque, and they, you know, sort of radicalized him, and they sent him for training. And but he was not an illiterate guy. He was a very well-educated musician, right? And I found it very weird that why would he go, right? The way they tell you stuff, it really gets to you, because, you know, the problem is it is true. That's the problem. The things they're doing, the things the Westerners are doing to the Eastern people are true. And if you really start seeing it, so the Mullah Omar was obviously a very educated person, and he had these very educated people around him. So I came across another video of his, and watching this guy just reminded me of my friend. And I haven't heard from him since, and I haven't seen him, and all my other friends haven't seen him either. So yeah, but like I get it, like, you know, these are people who are aware of the Western things. They've traveled to the West, they've lived there, they've seen the reality, and they see the truth, and then they decided to take part in the hard fight. So I can't, like, you know, but they do look like terrorists, but I can't blame them. I get it that if there's so much push from the other end, this end is also going to start pushing. And from that, you get these guys who are fighting the fight, but they're labeled as terrorists. And like, we watch the news and the media, and we think that we see a person in a long beard and a turban, and we automatically think this is a terrorist, but we don't know how cool this guy used to be. And why did he make this decision to just turn his life around and just become one of these people? So, you know, I feel like there's a perspective to be understood here. And if any white person is watching, please do your research and look up these people. I'm sure they're on the internet. And these are cool people, man. I had a friend, and he was very cool, and he was he was a metal musician, man. And but yeah, I get it, like why he took that decision. And I'm gonna end this video with this last video that I have, and just watch this.
The 13 bloodlines that run the world. Look up, this is not even no theory, y'all. You can look up the 25 banks that own everything. Nigga, everything? Nigga, everything. And, you know, we feel like we're doing something because, you know, we find out, you know, who Rockefeller is, and, you know, we find out who the Rothschilds are, and we're like, man, figured it out. No. All them are just puppets. You think the government and the politicians are puppets? Or even the Illuminati's puppets? It's something much darker behind all of that shit. It doesn't matter if somebody calls you crazy. It really doesn't. At this point, the shit that's finna happen, the shit that they finna do, you think people calling you crazy is the worst that could happen? you got two different types of people. You know, you got the people that are like, you know, that doesn't make sense. Like, explain that to me. You got people like that. Don't turn those people away. And then you got some people that are just like, this is stupid, you fucking idiot, this is dumb. Like, don't even smack them people. Like, it's a waste of time. They're angry because they can't even express themselves. They don't have the vocabulary or the knowledge to express themselves. If you let yourself become entangled with those people, then you're just letting the same negative parasitic entity feed off of your energy and siphon off your energy that's using them. With trolls, like, fuck the trolls.
Nigga everything? Nigga everything. I just love black people, man. But yeah, if you believe in these kind of things, which are real, so please believe it. I recommend you to get into the truth rather than avoid it. But yeah, some people don't want to look that way. That's fine. That's cool. So yeah, a lot of people own the world and they own the media and they own everything, and then they paint that picture, and it's like they get these white people to unite under one ideology, and then they create another enemy, which was not really the enemy, and who was minding their own business apparently. And they create this enemy, and the goal is to go there and strip all the things and all the resources they have and all the money they have, and they bring it back to your country, and it makes your country rich. And then now you have all the wealth, and now you put restrictions on these people that, hey, you cannot come in our country, and only the smart ones are allowed in our country and get this H-1B1 visa, and you must qualify. Like, this is just, this is the story that I've been seeing since like 20-30 years about that time. Yeah, so yeah, man, that's what's happening. And there's people who fighting the fight, but they're painted as terrorists and bad people, and they're not bad people. They were cool people, but they had to fight the fight. They had to leave their freedom and their lives behind to fight the good fight, what they believe in. And I'm sure there's some truth in it. That's why they're there. It can't be just all bull crap that, you know, these are smart people. They would not fall for Mullah Omar's things, you know. That's what I used to think, that, you know, the guy tricked my friend, the Mullah Omar tricked my friend. That's what I thought. But no, these guys are smart people, and they can't be tricked. They'll figure it out eventually, right? But apparently I think he's still there. I don't know, but we haven't heard anything. And these people remain there. They stay there. They choose to stay there. So yeah, man, that's the story, and that was my point. I hope you got it, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.